All right, we're trying to solve a quadratic equation. In this case, x squared minus 4x minus 10. And as soon as I look at that, I notice that this is going to be it's going to be a kind of a difficult problem because I can't factor it right off the top of my head. The factors of minus 10 are negative 1 and positive 10, positive 1 and negative 10, 2 and negative 5, as well as negative 2 and positive 5. So if it was one of those, this would be an easy problem. I could solve it by factoring. However, when I add all these together, this one gives me 9 and 9. If only that was 9, I would be all set. This one gives me negative 3 and positive 3. If only that was 3, I'd be all set, but it's not. It's 4. And because I can't figure out a way to factor that's easy, I'm going to have to use the other method, which is to use the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula I'm going to write nice and big. It's the x is going to be equal to negative b plus or minus. Now this plus or minus is what's going to give us the two solutions that's in the quadratic. The square root of, nice and big, b squared minus 4 times a times c. All of that is divided by 2a. All right, in this quadratic, I need to identify the three parameters a, b, and c. So I need the form of the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And in this case, there's a 1 here in front of the x squared. There's only one of them there. A is 1, b is in the middle, it's negative 4, and c is negative 10. I'm going to write those someplace that's nice and clear. A is 1, b is in the middle, negative 4. C, that's the last one, that's negative 10. All right, and now I'm going to replace those parameters in my quadratic equation. And I'm just going to go one at a time. So the b, I'm going to replace with the number negative 4. Instead of b, I've got negative 4. And I'm going to be very careful to keep track of all of my negatives because it's going to be crucial in the end. Then I replace the b again here with negative 4. Negative 4. And then I replace the a with 1 and the c with negative 10. Again, very important to keep track of your negatives here. A is 1, c is negative 10, and then a at the bottom, I'm almost done, is 1. Okay, so some people argue that the quadratic formula is the easier way of doing this. You don't have to think about it at all. On the other hand, I've got an awful lot of the order of operations here. I've got an awful lot of calculations to make. And I need to be very careful about doing things one step at a time and getting everything right. The number one thing is going to be to miss your negatives. Okay, so here I go. Minus times minus is plus 4. Plus or minus doesn't change. Now I'm going to simplify the determinant. The determinant is all this stuff in the square root. Negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4. Well, that's negative times positive 16. Minus, I do not change that, and then 4 times 1 times negative 10, well, that's just 4 times negative 10. 4 times negative 10 is negative 40. Notice that that's just coming from these terms right here, negative 40, because it's 4 times negative 10. And then the bottom is 2 times 1. That's not a very good line. The bottom is 2 times 1, which is 2. So x is those two things there. And I'm going to continue simplifying. 2 negatives make a positive. I add those together and I get 56. All right, and that looks okay, but we can simplify it, especially because of that radical there. So I'm going to move this up so that I get a little bit more room. Move everything up so that I get a little bit more room. Sadly, not done with the problem yet. So I can simplify this 56. Again, when I'm doing that, I look for factors of 2 first because I'm not really sure what 56 is. You might recognize that 56 is 7 times 8, but that's not the safest way to do it. I just always take out 2's until I have a smaller number that's easier to figure out. So it's 2 and 28. Is that divisible by 2? Yes, it is. 2 and 14. And then 14 is 2 and 7. That's not going to come out. 2 and 7 is going to stay inside the radical. However, 2 and 2, that makes 4. And the square root of 2, I know. So I can pull one group of 2 out of that square root. And I'm going to be leaving behind the 2 and the 7 that make up 14. So that leaves me with 4 plus or minus. I pull the 2 out of the radical. And what's left inside? Well, I pulled those out and I'm leaving these in. That's 14 divided by 2. And I've got a situation here, just like if my fraction was 4 over 2, I've got a situation that I can simplify again. So 4 divided by 2, I'm going to divide both of these terms, 4 divided by 2 and 2 divided by 2. 4 over 2 is 2, plus or minus, and the 2's cancel. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's just the square root of 14. The solutions are 2 plus the square root of 14 and 2 minus the square root of 14.